Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Today it's going to be a Patreon cast for those of you who support me on patreon.com/FalconPaladin for at least $1 a month. Okay, so I moved my StarCraft 2 stuff to a new channel because the algorithm was kind of freaking out that I'd cast StarCraft 2 and Brood War at the same time. So, if you haven't heard, I have a new StarCraft 2 only channel. I'll put a link in the description of this video and in the description of the Patreon post. If you haven't subscribed to me already, please do so if you want to see StarCraft 2 from Falcon Paladin. Alright, so today it's going to be Stats versus DongRaeGu. Here on Everdream, the ladder edition, the bottom right-hand corner and left-hand corner specifically, it is the red Zerg player DongRaeGu. And on the top right, we have the blue Protoss player, Stats. Now, the block did happen at the natural base there, so the third becomes the natural for DongRaeGu. It's not a big deal. This is a short rush distance. Zerg players are just fine with it. They're going to get a quick third base anyway. It's not a huge problem, so the fact that they can't get this down when they want to is not going to be a big deal. One gate expand on the other side for Stats. And yeah, this has been extremely standard ZVP stuff coming at you in the first couple minutes of this game. So hit that like button. I mean, if you're watching this, I suppose, the first week of October, thanks for being a patron of mine for at least $1 a month. That's really awesome. And if you're watching this a whole month later, in the month of November, then hey, welcome to the YouTube channel. I'm glad you made it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you haven't already. I'm honestly, let's see, at this point, at October 5th, I'm a little bit, I don't know, a little bit discouraged by the number of sub numbers that I have. Like, I didn't expect to get 50,000 subs for my StarCraft 2 channel. I understand a lot of my StarCraft 2 viewers have been moving to other places, and that's fine, but being at 1,400 subscribers on October 5th doesn't seem about right. I was expecting to get maybe about 3,000 to 5,000 or so, and then we'll kind of work from there. So if you haven't subbed yet, please do. If you're here for excellent, excellent StarCraft 2 content by somebody who loves StarCraft, truly loves StarCraft with all of his heart, then hit that subscribe button and hit that like. The algorithm enjoys that stuff. Anywho, time for a third base. Link's checking to see, was any pylons here? No. Great. Fantastic news. Anything crazy here from Stats at all? No. He is going to get an Adept out, send the Adept out for the shade purposes. Get another Adept out, actually, so double Adept coming in. That requires a couple more Zerglings than just the 4 to 6 you want originally. This could result in a couple more dead drones than is traditional, but we'll see how that works out here. So Adept coming on in, second Adept being Chrono Boost out. So not Chrono Boosting Warp Gate, but Chrono Boosting Adepts instead. Not even walling off here at all, because he knows he can put the pressure on the Zerg player by having the Adepts here. The Lings can't be out harassing if they're here trying to deal with the Adepts. That's how it works. So where's the second Adept? Man, blue is hard to see on this map for sure. Oh, did you actually stay home? Alright, did worry about some Ling pressure. So kept this Adept at home. The Lings are out. There aren't that many of them. Wow, I thought for sure this would be an Oracle. It's a Void Ray from Stats. I figured it would be a Stargate opening, and that's exactly where we went. But the fact that it's a Void Ray first kind of boggles my mind. It kind of indicates where we're going with this for Stats' decisions as to what strategy he's going to use today. So the good news is, this Overlord is dead. You can kill the first Overlord a lot more quickly if you make a Void Ray first, it turns out. That does supply block, actually, yes, does supply block DongRaeGu. Does reveal the presence of the Void Ray, which means Spores really, there you go. Spores are out for the two bases that actually, you know what, the third here, again, second base, but third location, we're going to call it the third from now on. Doesn't have a Spore. Another Overlord goes down to this Void Ray. Look how zippy they are, even without the Flux Veins upgrade. Man, they made them faster. They made them build more quickly. And you know what? We are seeing more Void Ray usage, but more in an early game scenario than in a late game, which I think was the intent from Blizzard, so go figure. There is an Oracle on the way, though. This Oracle, I don't know, do we name it? I say we name it. Oracle's name is Raycon Salesbot. Buy earbuds. No buy earbuds. Laser death noises. Will you buy earbuds? Yes. Delivering earbuds. Laser death noises. So basically, Raycon will kill you, regardless if you buy their product or not. So Spore, just brilliantly well placed there. Void Ray trying to do stuff over here, but two Queens enough to shove it away. And so far, DongRaeGu has played this extremely, extremely well defensively. at the very least. Trying to stab on in there. Oracle getting chased away. Roach Warren coming up from DongRaeGu. So he sees... he sees Oracle Void Ray opening and says, you know what I need is some roaches. And he's not wronged about that. If it's a lot of Void Rays, roaches are going to be worthless. But if it's one Void Ray, and you can make, like, I don't know, 15 to 20 roaches, you can probably take this base down because there has not been much of an investment into Immortals if you've got a Void Ray out. And look at this. We're actually going right into Templar Archives, getting Zealot legs. No Robo coming in at all from stats yet. Problematic, I would say, for sure here for stats. Nice Revelation Void Ray Snipe combo on that Creep Tumor. Alright, so here's the thing about stats. He's getting a little bit older, a little bit long in the tooth for an esports player, but he might have... Oh, there's a Robo right here. Dang it, Falcon, you're blind. Well, we're making Warp Prisms anyway, not Immortals. The point stands. Yeah, but stats, if you go to his Liquipedia page, I think it's the longest, most heavily decorated Liquipedia page for StarCraft 2 there is. I just think so. DongRaeGu had an incredible run from 2012 to 2014. The fact that he's back and competing at a super high level is nuts. No one's done that before after going to military and returning. But stats is just, he's got so many accolades under his belt. It's just terrifying to face off against him. So DongRaeGu a bit on the upswing here, even though he's been around as long as Stats has, basically. But Stats, he never left, is the trick. So Stats has just a lot of experience under his belt. He's more familiar with the current meta, I think, than DongRaeGu is. Got ourselves some Archon Harass over this way, which the Roaches are trying to shut down. Getting that Spore would be nice, and they do get it. Nicely done. The Roaches respond just a little bit too late to save that Spore. Storm being researched by Stats. Hydralisks at least being upgraded here for the Zerg player. And, ooh, give it, run. Oh, gets the Queen. Another Queen gonna die. Just kidding. Got saved by the massive Roaches here. 10 Hydralisks in production. Roach Hydra against a largely kind of adept Sentry Void Ray scenario with a couple Archons is going to be really scary. Stats is... I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on here against this incoming attack. He sees the fourth base. Good scout that way. Overseer with speed sees everything in the main base, which is nothing too surprising whatsoever. Immortal production has begun from Stats to deal with said Roaches. If you don't have Immortals, it's really hard to deal with Roaches if you're a Protoss player. And then the Immortals just crush them, so it totally swings the balance of power. Observer scouts the Roaches and Hydras heading up towards this fourth base. I don't think that's a cancel per se. It's definitely not a cancel. Not with this Immortal rolling in. Not with these Archons that take a lot of damage. The Hydras are where it gets scary here. Corrosive Vials actually being used on the force field. We're seeing more and more of that recently, as he opens up the attack path into this fourth base just a little bit. Man, it is 4 bases to 4 bases right now. We got the purple. We got the purple coming in. I love the purple. Trying to come in from both directions. Loving it. Storm coming down on the left side, on the bottom side. Archon gets focused down. I don't know if there's enough to defend right now. Shield overcharge is up for sure. Zealot's trying to get in, but they're dying fairly quickly to this just mass Roach Hydra army, which was such a great choice versus the compositional choices that Stats has made today. But guess what? Immortal sitting back, does not die, ends up getting 9 kills. This one has 9 kills as well. The shield overcharge was a massive, massive boost, and Stats holds on. It felt like just barely, but he does have, you know what? Not sure he lost much there. Incredible. I mean, that's why Stats is Stats. That's why you need to watch Stats games, man. He's disgustingly good. I love the placement of these cannons behind the warp gate so the Lings can't just jump immediately onto them. This is a really scrappy situation. Stats doesn't have much. DongRaeGu does not have much. We're not maxed out at this point, but we're close. We're close to getting there. Lurker down on the way from DongRaeGu while all this pressure's going on. On the other side, Stats is just Immortal Archon High Templaring, which is a good combo against Roach Hydra. You've got the Storm, you have the Immortals to handle the Roaches. You got Archons to do bonus damage and soak up a bunch of damage too. And a Fleet Beacon coming up with additional Stargates. Is Stats transitioning into ye old Skytoss? It seems like he may do it. Now here's the thing. You don't often see Skytoss wins against Zerg in the current meta of StarCraft 2. I wish we did. I really wish there was more of it, but we don't. It's just not something that's been happening at all recently. So for Stats to go here worries me a little bit. But it looks like he's committing. He's getting +1 air. That fleet beacon is definitely happening. I mean, you can't. Once you've made 2 additional Stargates to the one you already have, and you have the fleet beacon, you kind of got to go Sky at that point. You know what I mean? Look at these Overlords scouting these Zealots before they move in. Stats had a delay. I think, oh, this would have done so much more damage if he'd gone in when the Zealots were done instead of waiting a little bit. Trying to engage on 2 fronts right here, though. The Lurkers doing very well against this ground army. However, Immortals will crush them given the opportunity. This Warp Prism getting chased down by Hydras. On creep, they're faster, but off creep, they're not. Which is why we're setting up a creep highway for the Hydras to go and catch this Warp Prism. Oh, it stopped moving. It stopped moving. Oh, there you go. Goes into that dead air space. Jeez, any hit from a Hydra is a big hit against a Warp Prism. They are just squishy. Check this out. We're getting a mothership, too. So motherships, carriers, all sorts of great stuff on the way from Stats. Sky tossing it up. On the other side, DongRaeGu's going for a Hive, making additional Hydralisks. He doesn't seem to be prepared for this tech switch. Like, Hydras in, in these numbers against a small number of carriers, great. Especially with Viper support. But once the carrier group gets to, 6, 8, 10 carriers, your Hydras just get melted before they can really do much of anything. I mean, even if you're abducting 1 or 2 or 3 of the carriers, the remaining carriers will just roll through the rest of your Hydralisks like melted butter, like a knife through butter. So watch out for that, DongRaeGu, I guess. I mean, I'd really like to see a Spire eventually. He's really investing a lot into these Lurkers. He's getting the range upgrade for the Lurkers. He's getting Vipers now, which is nice. And additional Spores are coming up. So I feel like he got a read somewhere. I guess he did scout the fleet beacon at some point. That might have even been a few minutes ago when he saw that. Did he just kill one of his own Ravagers? He sure did. He killed his only Ravager. The rest of the Zerg units are like, hey, you're not like the rest of us. Pow! And Ravager went down. We shall call him Bob. Bob the Ravager. Yeah, carrier group, not too intimidating, but the support of Storm, the support of Immortals, the fact there's a ground army here too, the High Templar in the mix are big, big deals. It doesn't look like a big scary Skytoss army, but if DongRaeGu attacks moves into this, everything he has dies. Just guaranteed, which is why he's going somewhere else. So he's going to set up on the high ground, Storm, trying to take out some of these Lurkers. They get a couple probes in the process though. Hey, that's free stuff. Free probe deaths are always good. Did he just kill his own? I think he killed his own Zealot there. Unfortunate. Stats pushing down the right side. Clearing some creep as they do. Finally, Corruptors on the way from DongRaeGu. I just feel like it's late. I feel like if you're going to go Corruptors, you need to start pumping them out faster, but he is on a whole bunch of bases. Also, this attack is really nice. This might force a recall. This is a lot of Roach Hydra. 1 carrier wandering in this direction. Stats is actually just coming up very slowly at the moment. He's got recall, but he's not really worried about it. I guess he knows he can get there in time. The Roach Hydra DPS not quite enough to get through those shield batteries at the moment. They do have 2-2, but not the 3-3, which is coming in on that production tab. Stats is taking a 6th base. Pretty good. Pretty good. DongRaeGu sitting on 5 bases himself. Probably should take a 6th at some point, because this is definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases. For Stats, you cannot lag behind in total income and base count, man. Not against Stats. Maybe against other lesser Protoss players, sure. Hydra sniping got a couple of these interceptors, but remember what I said about the interceptor count. It's 9. It is 9 right now. It's not mass carrier, because that will get obliterated by Zerg. But if you have the Storm, you have the Archons to deal with the Corruptors, and things get a little bit dicier. They just do. There's the Abduct on the Mothership. Throws down a Time Warp, because what else are you going to do before you die? Because you're going to die. We talked about this a bit in the M-Canning versus Scarlet match that I posted on October the 4th. Or the 5th, actually, today. But basically, Motherships die a lot, and that becomes a meme, right? Motherships, they're so expensive, they're so powerful. Why do they die? Well, it's because they're priority targets for the enemy. If they sucked, nobody would bother killing them. It's just like the Defiler in Brood War. If you're going against a Zerg player and you don't kill their Defilers, you're going to have a bad time. So you kill the Defilers. So a lot of Defilers die. Does that mean Defilers are bad? No. It means they're really good. And they have very limited windows to get value out of them before they die. It's exactly what's going on. Is another Mothership is on the way here for stats. 199. I mean, we're both maxed out at this point. Hydra's wandering up to stat 6 base. Going to town. All right, so we're looking at still 2-2 dudes. There's another Abduct on a carrier, and recalls over to try to save it. The recall shows up. Anybody left behind ends up dead, including these Overlords who are not running for their lives at all. Whereas the Hydralisks are, but they're not quite zippy enough, even with muscular augments. Off creep, but on creep they are much more comfortable and can zip on into safety behind some of these spores and some of these spines. So double Spire here from DongRaeGu, going for double upgrades, +2/+2 for his air flying units. The upgrades for the Skytoss currently are +2 air attack, +1 air armor, and shields, which applies to everybody and everything, including the buildings in the Protoss army. 5 Stargates coming up from stats. Okay. That's what we're looking at here, folks. Boy, just moving in, mowing down this static defense with that carrier count. That is 9. He's making 2 more, though, so this is getting pretty heavy. Pretty heavy into the play. Changelings are like, hey, guys, what's up? Pow, pow, pow. Stats too smart for that. Average age of a Changeling, once it has morphed into whatever it's going to morph into, is approximately half a second in professional games anyway. Feedback on a Viper, just a drive-by feedback there. Storm on the Lurkers causing some problems, but they're pretty beefy. You can't one storm down a Lurker. Gotta have 2 of them. Maybe even, God, I haven't done the math. Is it 3? I mean, it's very rare that a Lurker's not taking damage from anything else while getting stormed, so it's hard to figure that out. But yeah, these Hydras off creep. Do you see how the Interceptors destroy them so fast? Yes. Another base from stats coming up. He still hasn't lost one. To be fair, DongRaeGu has not lost a base yet either. 8 probes have gone down. 1 drone has gone down. This has been a pretty clean defensive game from both players. More Changeling Des. Reminds me of Among Us a little bit, which has been the hot game in September of 2020. Oh, those carriers made it out. There were not enough Corruptors with insufficient upgrades to one-shot them. Ultralisks on the way. All right. Here, no. I don't know about the Ultras, man. That's why there are 5 Immortals on the ground. That's why there are 5 Immortals with +3 attack on the ground, is so that Ultralisks can't come through and just wipe out the rest of this ground army. Because without those Immortals, yes, the Ultras would crush the High Templar. They would crush the Archons. But the Immortals will shut them down. So that's why we have this particular composition from stats, is specifically countering against this. Also, there might just be enough carriers to melt Ultras anyway. I don't know about Ultras. I really don't. Feedback, feedback. Abduct, spellcasting all over the place here. Couple Lurkers go down. High Templar in a dangerous place, but one manages to make it back home with all of 10 HP and 31 points of energy. Pathogen Glands coming in. DongRaeGu seems to feel like he's going for some of that Infestor play, which I really support. Neural Parasite is so good in these situations. The Immortals stepping forward a little bit. Trying to take down this Lurker count. Losing a couple of them in the mix. Oh, man. Immortals just going down here. But the ground army gets obliterated for DongRaeGu. It's 195 to 168 total supply. Stats. I don't know if this Corruptor count is enough. Zealots getting warped in. They've got the upgrades, you know. Trying to jump in They take down a hatchery on the left side. This is looking a little bit dicey for DongRaeGu. He's making more Corruptors. He's making more Hydralisks. There's a single lurker that has shut down all the mining back here at Stats 6th base. But guess who's got another base in the bottom right? Another hatch goes down for DongRaeGu. DongRaeGu's income is just not approaching what Stats is right now. At least not for gas income. For mineral income is actually fairly healthy, surprisingly, all things considered. All right, so here are the Ultras. They're coming in. I think the Immortals are gone. That is accurate. All the Immortals are dead. So guess what? The Ultras are a better answer now than they previously were. How's that? Take that for data. The Ultralisks chomping them up. And the Zealots successfully just basically bring the Ultras all the way home to the main base. Well, how about that? Someone ring my doorbell. That has not happened very often. I will not be answering during this cast. Zealot wanders in trying to take down a spine, but lurker support and other spine support means that's hard to do. So look at this. Stats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got his 8th base up and running. DongRaeGu is on 1, 2, 3. Trying to replant this one. Trying to replant this one. He still actually has resources as natural for some reason. I guess that's part of the fact that it's actually his 3rd. That helps with that situation, but Infestors coming in, and if anything can help DongRaeGu win this game, it's going to be Infestors for sure. Man, the feedback on those Vipers was just instant. Hey, are you trying to say Stats is getting old? Yeah, kind of, but man, that reaction time was really good. I'm not going to count Stats out until I count him out. Look, Stats made it to the finals of GSL Season 2. Did Rogue kind of outclass him in that series? Yes. He did. Does that mean Stats is washed up? No, it does not. So Stats still very scary, and if anyone can make this whole Skytoss thing work against DongRaeGu, who again, on the rise currently, Stats is one of those players on the list who can and absolutely is capable of doing it. Trying to poke up different areas here. Storm. Stats just being patient. Like a lesser Protoss player would just kind of move in here and maybe die to this Spore Crawler for us, combined with the Infestors and the Neurals and everything, but he's just going to try to pick around the edges. Around the edges of DongRaeGu's attempts to expand along the left side, really shutting this one down again. Extremely well. Mass Changeling death coming. Such a good sound, honestly. Viper sucking energy off this evolution chamber, which exists solely for energy. I think all the upgrades are done. 3, 3, 3. Actually, +2 melee is done. No, +3 melee. Yeah, +3 melee is not complete. So one of these many evolution chambers could be used to get that upgrade for sure. Stats coming in with his ground army of the Immortals and the oh, there we go. Neural Parasite on one of the Archons. Immortals sitting back and just crushing those Ultralisks. Vipers abducting Parasitic Bomb onto the carriers as well. Trying to sneak around the left side and wipe these out. The Void Ray doing some pretty good work right now. Neural Parasite, no. Every time there's a Neural attempted, the Infestors are getting target fired down. Are there enough Corruptors to handle the Skytoss army? The carrier group is not very healthy at all. There are 38 Lings in production along with 2 Ultralisks. The Corruptor count does not look super healthy. A lot of them are very injured indeed. The carrier group still happy. A bunch of Stalkers warping into the mix right now. That Archon on the left side gets left alone, abandoned, and massacred. Another carrier down, but Corruptors are falling by the minute. It's 190 to 141. total supply in favor of Stats. Spores picking off interceptors left and right. Archons coming in, 4 Archons at a time on the way. Too many Stalkers on the ground, I think, for the Corruptors to do this, and that's it. Stats is your winner in 25 minutes and 2 seconds. Okay, so that's what we're looking at, folks. Wow, 25 minutes. ZVP with Skytoss. Stats is the winner. Although, to be fair, largely his army at the end of the game there was ground-based. 19 Stalkers, 4 High Templar, 4 Archons, 3 Immortals, 2 Zealots, right? There were 3 carriers remaining because a lot of carriers died in this game, 10 of them to be exact. And the ground army was 2 Ultras and a Lurker. So that's not enough, man. That is just not enough to contend. There were 8 Zerglings too, yes, to be fair. But yeah, just not enough ground army to contend with what we're seeing here. The Corruptor count was 10, but they are all varying shades of... Well, 3 of them are healthy, but the rest of them are not looking too hot. The Stalkers with +3 attack. The Archons, if they get in the mix, these are all dead. And yeah, economically just could not compete. Losing this source of income was a big deal. Effectively only has this one, which is mining out, and this one, which is mining out too. Consistently sniping these left side bases was so darn important for Stats all throughout that game. And then DongRaeGu just never killed a base. He never killed a Nexus today. And if you do never kill one of Stats' Nexuses in 25 minutes, you're going to have a hard time winning the game. Look at that. So 2 motherships died, yes. But no Nexuses down. Only 13 probe kills the entire time. Lost 5 hatcheries himself. So DongRaeGu, just trying to make it happen, could not put the pressure on Stats, slow him down at all. The Corruptors were a decent answer to the carriers, but just too much Stalker, too few Zerglings. It's a balancing act is what it is. The Archons, the Immortals, and the Stalkers are all fairly well countered by like a Ling Hydra play. But that's not what we had. We had Corruptors. We had a Lurker in the mix, which has a kill. Congratulations to him. And 1 Ultralisk, or 2 Ultralisks rather, which are... Well, there's one that just hatched, and one down here with 0 kills, trying to mash up all of these Stalkers that are picking off his Corruptors in the sky, you know? So sure, it feels like a bit of an abrupt setup there and ending, but yeah, economically just not healthy. For some reason, we don't have the game hard interface. I don't know why, but if we look at the income, it's about 2,600 for Stats on the minerals to 1,600 for DongRaeGu, 900 gas to 600 gas. The numbers don't add up, and he saw it, and he got the win. So it's a combination of just consistent pressure from Stats killing bases over and over again. DongRaeGu not able to kill any of Stats bases, and then just, yes, there's a Corruptor army, but it's not really the carriers you're worried about. It's more the Immortals, the Archons, the High Templar, and the Zealots. So nicely done. That is an impressive win there for Stats. We have not seen many Protoss wins against Zerg, especially late game on the channel recently. Man. But who else? Who else but Stats? All right, so that is going to be it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void and a Patreon cast. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw, what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.